What's going on, everybody? It's Ebenezer, the Scrooge. And y'all see the title. This video is about self-preservation. This is something that I've really been thinking about for a long time, man. And eventually, I do want to write a book on this because I feel like it'll be a great book when I really lay out um, the whole format of what it is that I'm trying to say. But we're gonna do this in a video, probably around 10 minutes long. Self-preservation. First off, let's get into the self-preservation is the first law of nature. I do have notes, y'all, that try to help me focus on what it is that I'm trying to say. Self-preservation is the first law of nature. So I went and looked up the definition of self-preservation, though I know what it is. I just wanted to give y'all the Webster definition of self-preservation, which is protection of oneself from harm or death, especially regarded as a basic instinct in human beings and animals. So human beings and animals live under self-preservation. Now, self-preservation, if you really pay attention to it, is what makes the animal kingdom so bloody, so gory, so violent. Self-preservation can be very evil, okay? And that's what I want to touch on. Because when I call people selfish, like girls that I've dated, they didn't get what I was saying when I called them selfish because they thought they meant that I meant, oh, you're not sharing with me or something like that. But that's not what I meant when I called them selfish. I called my ex selfish, this young girl I used to date. And she was like, you're the first person to ever call me selfish. Because I'm probably the first person to look at you the way I look at you in an honest light, you know, because I didn't want anything from her but love and support. And I just didn't feel like she gave me that. So let me get into this. So let's talk about nature first. Nature is super violent. The animal kingdom is bloody. It is gory. There's no telling how animals suffer more than humans. If animals feel pain, which scientists have had this discussion before, or sort of a debate whether animals feel pain the way humans do, I don't know. Hopefully, God made it to where animals don't feel pain, but I feel like they do. And whether they feel pain or not, they die in very bloody, violent ways. You got lions that eat gazelles. You got crocodiles that eat small mammals, different little things. You got wolves that eat deer and bison and elk and, all these different things. And they do this for survival. It's the first law of nature, self-preservation. They do this to protect themselves from death. If they don't eat, they die. So that's animals, though. Animals don't have the same thinking capacity that we do as humans. So for animals, I don't feel like it's as demonic or as evil for animals to think on this level because they're probably not thinking, and maybe they are. I know Muslims believe that animals will get judged just like humans in the end of days. Um, so when animals do things to survive as a first law of nature, I don't think animals have, and maybe animals do have free will, but I don't think animals have the thinking capacity that we do as humans. And since humans are way more developed in the brain and way more evolved in the brain, I feel like we have more of a responsibility. So God gave us free will and he gave us self-preservation, which is a tricky thing because now we get to pick and choose what we do to survive. We get to pick and choose what makes us feel better. Okay? Feel better. Dopamines. A dopamine is something that they refer to as the feel good hormone. It's what gives us pleasure. It's what keeps us going back to doing things, right? It's part of your reward system. That's what a dopamine is. When people get high, they continue getting high because it raises their dopamine level. It raises their pleasure hormone. So, what are some bad things that we do to raise our dopamine levels? Sex, snacking, drugs. These three things can harm us. Having a wild sex life can harm you. Okay, it can even send you to depression, especially if you're a female and you're getting judged all the time. It had you get STDs from having sex, some which are deadly. Snacking. Snacking leads to diabetes, high blood pressure, chips, snacks, cakes, sweets, and all these things. It's unhealthy. Drugs. Drugs lead to deadly diseases. It leads to overdose. It leads to death. What are some good things that raise dopamine levels? Exercise, sleep, meditation, sunlight. But usually, when people decide to raise their dopamine level, they usually use it in a negative way. A lot of people don't get dopamine from sex and from meditating and from sunlight and from sleep. A lot of people raise their dopamine levels through the negative things that I mentioned: sex, snacking, and drugs. So I say this to say this. This is why I feel like the self-preservation is the evil gene. Let's take my roommate, for example, that I always use, because this is something that's always bothered me. When I was doing good and saving my money, I know I've mentioned this in plenty of videos, when I was saving my money and I wanted to, and my roommate saw this and she saw me getting better, and she also saw that I was more focused on my career and the things that I wanted to do for myself than her, she slipped me some weed, knowing how bad my weed habit was, knowing that that would take me down. And she told me she did it because she felt like I was funner when I was high, meaning I entertained her more. Let me tell y'all something about humans. Humans know that loneliness harms us. Okay? We don't even have to look at studies on it. We know what feeling lonely, we know that loneliness is a bad feeling for anyone that gets lonely. Even if you like being alone and you're a loner, you can feel lonely. And no one likes to feel lonely. Humans are meant to interact with each other. Okay? We're like a tribal species. We're supposed to interact with one each other. That's how one another. That's another thing that raises our dopamine level, is interacting with people. Being lonely is definitely not healthy. There's even a study that says that loneliness can raise the risk of heart attack by 40%. Loneliness can kill you. Most people don't like to be alone. You know, only some of your strongest people like to be alone. And I consider myself strong. And though I like to be alone, sometimes I do get lonely. And a lot of times when I get lonely, I have to choose amongst not so good of a crowd to be around. You know, it's people that want to get high, people that want to have sex, people that want to eat. That's who I have to choose to be around. So that's where my loneliness comes from. It's not like I don't want to be alone. You know, I do love to be alone. I do love my time alone, but I would love to monitor my time alone. I would love to be alone 90% of the time or 85% of the time, but then choose 15% of the time to hang out with people when I want to. I don't have that option because I have no one to hang out with. I will find those people in my city. You know, I do have my people on YouTube, which really does help me reading comments and stuff like that. I really love the comments that I get, you know, the positive ones. And, you know, I'm done responding to the negative ones. But, anyways, um, loneliness. People know that being lonely hurts them. So, when when my roommate decided to throw some weed on me to um to get me to start smoking again, knowing my bad habit, thinking, oh, well, maybe he'll be more fun, he'll entertain me. It didn't work in her, you know, because I was pissed off. She didn't, you know, that's what she didn't. I was pissed off when that I was smoking weed again for the longest. I'm so glad that I went sober again. But I was pissed off at the fact that she threw that weed on me. So even while I was smoking, you know, so when I was smoking, I wasn't really the nicest person to her because I was pissed off that she did that to me. That really hurt me financially. And just seeing my money dwindle away because of my bad habit, and I have to take some responsibility for that. But just the fact that somebody would do that to you is evil. But that's self preservation. That's why I say self preservation is evil. No one likes to be lonely. When somebody tells you, I had a friend who, when I was living in my last house, I was in a 4-bedroom house. I had this friend who did the same thing to me. When he found out I stopped smoking weed, he threw me some weed and called me later that day and asked me, did I want to buy some? Money also raises dopamine levels. You get money, money allows you to do more things. It allows you to buy drugs for yourself. It allows you to buy food. It even allows you to buy sex if you have to. So he did this also for my company. He liked coming around. He hated when I was sober. You know, he wanted somebody to drink with. He wanted somebody to smoke with. He wanted somebody who he could, because he was a bum. He never had his own place. So he wanted somebody to take women to their house. So he wanted to be able to take women to my house, which he had brought a couple women over to my house and, you know, tried to pretty much have them have sex with me and him, you know. And I did it with one girl with him, and I was like, never again. I'll never do this again, dude. Because, I mean, you're a bum anyway. Like, why am I hanging out with you in the first place? And I ended up cutting him off. He was hurt when I cut him off. This video is obviously over 10 minutes. People will use you for their own pleasure. And this is why I say people are selfish. And this is why I say people are evil. They don't care how much it's harming you. Somebody will stay in a relationship with you knowing it's harming you, but it's pleasing them. Someone will stay in a relationship with you knowing they're bringing you down, but it pleases them. That's selfishness. That's evil. Even when you look at entertainers, rappers, and singers, these rappers know that the music they're making is affecting people in a negative way. But why do they keep making it? Because they're making money off of you. They're making money off you listening to them on YouTube. They're making money off you buying their songs on iTunes. They're making money off you playing their songs on Spotify. They're making money. They don't care if they're harming people. It's the same thing with a drug dealer. A drug dealer is not really caring about him harming his community. The whole time you're telling him he's harming his community, he's not about to listen to you. He's going to come out with every excuse in the world to keep harming his community because he's making money. Because that money is raising his dopamine levels, or he's using that money to spend it on something that's going to raise his dopamine levels. Sex, drugs, food. What do drug dealers do? They get a lot of women. They do drugs themselves. Most of them usually is weed. Some of them even do the cocaine or whatever. And then they eat good. You see them always eating steaks and potatoes and seafood and stuff. They eat good. This raises their dopamine levels. So why would they stop selling drugs to people that's harming a community? They got these mothers strung out on heroin, strung out on crack, just destroying their families. Now these mothers can't even take care of their kids at home starving. The drug dealers see this when they go and sell the drugs to the drug dealers, to the drug addicts, and they still continue selling drugs to them. This is the selfish gene, y'all. Self-preservation is the evil gene. You may have heard of Richard Dawkins. That's where I got the name of this title from. Like, I will make this into a book. Richard Dawkins has a book called The Selfish Gene, where he speaks on the selfish gene as far as evolution and natural selection. If you know anything about evolution, they say that humans and animals alike evolve from natural selection, which means this animal will adapt to his environment, whether it's maybe the color of his fur. Let's say a mouse. A mouse might have a similar, let's say a mouse is in a field of grass, and that mouse in that field of grass stands out because of the color of his fur. So it makes him easy for prey to spot him, whether it's a soaring bird that's going to snatch him up, or a snake, or some other bigger animal that's going to eat him. But if that mouse or these whole, like a whole group of mice, if over time that mouse adapts his color, somehow his genes start to change and his genes start to blend into that grass, it's going to make him harder to catch. It's going to make him not so easy of a prey. So the mice that end up changing their fur color over time will be more adapted to survive, more prone to survive, or more likely to survive than the ones who stick out more. This is evolution by natural selection. So 9 times out of 10, the mice whose fur didn't change are going to get eaten, and the mice whose fur did change in order to blend into its environment are going to survive longer. Therefore, they're going to be able to produce more and more, and then through their genes, those mice are going to give birth to other mice that are the same color fur, and now these mice are going to live longer in that environment. That's natural selection. That's evolution. That's evolution by natural selection. Richard Dawkins wrote a book on this. And so my idea is evolution or self-preservation through the first law of nature, the evil gene. And it's also natural selection. So people prey on other people, is what I'm trying to say. People adapt to their environments in order to survive, right? So when someone's using you for sex, this is self-preservation. When a man uses a woman and he knows he doesn't even care about this woman, he's going to tell her all type of things to get her to have sex with him, and I'm guilty of it too. He's going to tell her all these things to have sex with her, lie to her, knowing that eventually he might break her heart, but he's not caring about breaking her heart. All he's caring about is getting that nut off. All he cares about is his orgasm. This is selfish. This is self-preservation. When a woman uses a man for his money, knowing that she could just literally destroy his career or take him to the bottom, or knowing he could be spending that money on something positive or something better, but she wants him to spend it on her. He could be, or when a woman dates a man who is ambitious and she doesn't really care about his goals, all she cares about is him being there for her. She don't even care about him being rich, because she knows if he gets rich, he's going to leave her. Why would a rich man want to be with her? She knows this. So she'll try to literally keep that man down, just so he can stay down on her level, and so she can have somebody to entertain her, because we die from loneliness. No one likes to be lonely. These are the reasons why I say self-preservation is evil. Most humans move like this, without a care in the world. Most humans use other humans for self-preservation, even if that other human that they're using is taking a loss. Even if they can see that human is slowly dying, or slowly getting weaker, or slowly becoming more depressed, they're going to continue to use that person. This is why I say self-preservation is evil, y'all. This is something that I feel like people need to look at in the world. I will end up writing a book on this. This is the best that I could do right now. I didn't really take a lot of notes, just a couple notes. And I do feel like you have artists that literally try to break this cycle for themselves. Like even Kanye West, when he came out with Jesus Walks back in the day, Jesus Walks, he said something like um and I know this will take away from my ends, which will probably take away from my sins, and bring the day that I'm dreaming about. Next time I'm in the club, everybody screaming out. Like, you know what I mean? He said he took a real bold move on his first album to make a song called Jesus Walks, not really knowing if it would be a hit or not. Though it ended up being a hit, that could have easily took away from his views. It took away from his success by putting out a song about Jesus as a rapper, like, almost a gospel song. And if you really pay attention, we all have to go through our road of redemption. But if you pay attention, now Kanye West focuses more on God than he does on pleasing fans. He could easily go back and make an album with his old rap ways. I don't even listen to Kanye West new music, honestly, but I never really completely listened to Kanye West, I guess. Even though I listened to a lot of his singles, I never listened to his albums completely all the way through. It was only a couple. And those were compilation albums, or the Watch the Throne album, or the Good Music compilation album. Those are the two albums I listened to by Kanye West, but I never really listened to his single solo albums like that. Though plenty of his singles I liked. Anyways, that's what he's doing now. He's more concerned about pleasing God than he is about pleasing fans through his music. And that's why you'll hear him talking. He puts certain things in his music, like nature sounds and things in his music to kind of boost. It's just a positive thing. When you hear these nature sounds in music, it gives you more of a positive vibe, instead of having all this killing and stuff in his music, or violence or sex and things like that in his music. He thinks more positive. Whereas other entertainers are going to keep putting out that evil because it benefits their pockets. Kanye West is a billionaire. Music really isn't his thing right now. He's making money off so many other things. He doesn't have to put the evil in his music. Which questions if he, if things are turned, would he keep putting the evil in his music? That's neither here or there. I just wanted to throw that out there, y'all. I started rambling at the end, but self-preservation, it's the evil gene. I think it's something that everyone needs to be aware of. I will get into this topic more and more. So we can call this part one. But I'm Ebenezer, and I'm out.